We're back. Welcome back to the OwnersBox YouTube channel. I know it's been, fellas, a week, maybe close to two since we put out some new content. We were on a great trip, Avery, right? Out to LA for a week. Saw some great sporting events, the Rose Bowl, the Chargers game, basketball, and now we're back in Canada, and this is what we get. We get some Zoom.
It's tale as old as time itself, right? Go on a trip, can't go back to the office, locked down in Ontario, but we'll manage.
Yeah, we'll get through it. And I'm not going to get through it after last night's game. It feels like I've struggled to put this jersey up behind me because I just didn't really want to have to face the music of that. But I think we can start there. I think we're going to cover a lot from this past week, do a little bit on the Super Bowl, and then wrapping up the fantasy season. I know you guys we're also dying for some fantasy hockey content on this channel. So not to worry for anyone tuning in early. We will get to that. But first, Chargers game. Sandy, I think the books called one in and said, there's no way I'm letting Jaguars money line and Raiders Chargers tie cash. There were way too many squares on it. They couldn't allow it.
I mean, the odds, I saw on Twitter yesterday and on TikTok, people were all over that, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, who bets on a tie? Like, I wouldn't even bet on a tie straight up, but people had Jags money line and a tie in a parlay. It was like, I saw some guy have like $5 to win, just like tens of thousands of dollars, just crazy amounts. So I just think it's, a crazy thing. I thought they were going to tie. I thought they were going to need a ball. I did. I feel bad for Chargers fans. All my friends in San Diego here are diehard Chargers fans still. So I was with a couple of them last night. It was not pretty. I had money on the Chargers -3. I was kind of dead when I went to overtime, honestly, but I gave up early. So I'm just bummed. It was a great game. They came back. Herbert played incredible, but I really thought I was going to end in a tie, Tyler.
There's the timeout, man. Like, I didn't think it was a bad timeout. I still don't think it was a bad timeout. What do you have to think about that?
So, like a lot of people texted me about this. I get what Carr's saying. Because you saw that clip of Eckler asking, like, were you guys gonna kneel it out, or were you guys gonna tie? And he said, yeah, we were going to, or whatever. The reason that Staley called the timeout is because there was under 40 seconds in the game clock. So he knew that the Raiders could run this play. If they didn't get a first, they would easily just kind of let the clock drain out and tie. But they were in their nickel package, and the Chargers were getting, like, Josh Jacobs was running train on the Chargers yesterday. Absolutely. Like, it was ridiculous. So he wanted to get the nickel package out, get their linebackers on the field, and it didn't matter. The problem is we talk about blaming Brandon Staley, and it's really on the defense. It's 3rd and 4. Everybody knows they're going to run the football, and they still couldn't get a stop. So terrible.
I mean, for me, like, I was a big Brandon Staley fan all year. And I think that was the biggest thing, is he was getting so much praise for going on it in 4th down. Like, early in the season, they were successful. Now he's been less successful, towards the back half of the season, obviously the more important part of the season. But I mean, hell, that's a great game. I think Herbert, you're going to talk about it, probably go a little deeper, but watching that guy play football, it's an absolute treat. Like, he is unbelievable. I saw a stat yesterday. It was like, he converted 4th and 9, 4th and 8, these 4 or 5 4th downs conversions, and the odds of all those happening were like 0.001% of that, like anyone else doing that. Like, that alone is crazy. But the way he played at the end of the game there to even come back and make that, go to overtime was incredible.
Yeah, I did 2 minutes and 6 second drive that had 19 plays.
I thought it was a typo the first time I saw it.
Yeah,
no way.
I checked my phone, like, what time is it? It's like 11:45. I'm like, I think they said the drive lasted like 23 minutes. So, I mean, the Herbert was unreal. Like, the fact that the only 4th down conversion they didn't have in the entire game was that 4th and 1 from their own 18, just because Herbert didn't get the ball. So,
and in that situation too, like, you have to trust your offense to get 1 yard. I get it's in your own zone. Everyone's like, oh, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
It only ended up in a field goal. It really didn't hurt them.
The defense did make some plays, and that was definitely one of them. Like, early on, they looked like they were going to get, like, it was going to be 14-17-0. Defense did weather the storm a little bit early, but man, it was, yeah. Herbert looked like a 15-year NFL veteran. That's all I'll say. But the roster overall is not really ready for the playoffs. Their defense is just not there. Storm Norton was just on skates all game. Max Crosby, oh my God. Herbert I watched 2 plays where Herbert dropped back, threw the ball for an incompletion, and 2 seconds came off the game clock. 2 seconds. That's incredibly hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, for Herbert too, he's the best against pressure, like throwing the ball against pressure, right? And I don't know if that's a stat to brag about. It just shows you like the offensive line isn't protecting him, right? And I think that's something we saw. Max Crosby lived in the backfield. That defensive line was 4-man rush a lot of the game too. Like they were getting people back to him, and he was still making plays. But I mean, you don't really want to brag about how good you are against pressure. You want to block for your good quarterback. So that's something where the Chargers need to improve in. Obviously, the defense, they got run all over. It was not fun to watch if you had the Chargers -3 last night, as I did. But overall, I mean, there's a lot of hope for the Chargers and Justin Herbert. I mean, if you got Justin Herbert, you're going to be, fighting for something every year. So loved watching him play, but really bummed. I'm bummed I have to watch the Steelers. That's my biggest complaint. I'm not happy I have to watch the Steelers play a playoff football game. Big Ben in the playoffs. I mean, I'm happy for Big Ben. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to watch. What is it? Steelers Chiefs this week? Is that the matchup?
Yeah, it is. They're going to beat him by 30.
30. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath. I completely agree. And, the book, it'll probably be a -14, at least a 2 touchdown spread. I'm guessing. I haven't looked, but I mean, I did not. I think. Was it 12
and a half? I think so.
I'll take that to Mars. But I just didn't want to see the Steelers in the playoffs. Bummer. I would love to see Chargers in there, but next year they just got to beef up on defense and figure out the offensive line, in my opinion.
Talking about the Chargers though, like, you want Justin Herbert, you want playoff experience for a young quarterback like that. That was a playoff game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they're 1-0 in the playoffs and it's not really a close game, it does the same shit as them just losing this game, right? That was a playoff game. They know it. Will be fine from that.
Yeah. I mean, the Raiders are honestly, this is as good a spot. I didn't even know until the end of the game that the Raiders had a chance to beat a 5 seed. Like they get to play the Bengals now. They could not ask for a better. I like the Bengals. They're a good team, Joe Burrow, but this could be their best chance to win. Like, this is the team they could beat.
That was the thing. Yeah. I mean, the Bengals, they came on this year and obviously won the division, which is crazy. No one even thought that. But for me, like, I like the Bengals in the AFC this year. I think they have a chance. But just one more thing on the Chargers is, what do you think about Staley's decision to go for it on the 18-yard line? I know they were down. I think the score was 10-7 Raiders at the time. Like, he's been doing that all year. I know you're like kind of been a defendant of that. They only got 3 on the drive after they stopped the Chargers on 4th down. They only got 3, which made it less as bad. But I really think it's still like a tough thing. You punt it there. It's easy for me to say after the fact, but what's your take on that, T-Mac?
I couldn't believe it. I do think he kind of thought that Eckler was running the ball so well that they could get the yard and expect them to get the yard. But I didn't like the decision. But again, the defense made a massive play to make it so that it wasn't really a big deal. But if they scored and it was 7, he'd have been getting castrated for that call. Even 100%. Though technically, if you look at win probability, it was a positive move and decision to go for it. And that's the kind of guy he is. But at the same time, he also doesn't constantly do that, because we saw me and Aver at the Chargers Broncos game, and they kicked a field goal on 4th and 2 that I thought they'd definitely go for. But I guess a lot of people thought process was, hey, the Broncos suck. Their offense is terrible. Just take the points and move on. So he kind of doesn't always just go analytically.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's 4th and 2 from the 2, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 4th and 2 from 2. Yeah, 4th and 2. Yeah. So what do you guys let's move along. I don't want to talk all Chargers. The Colts falling to the Jaguars is just, I mean, the real story of the day. We talked about it and hypothesized this situation the entire week, and it actually came to fruition because the Colts just didn't show up. Carson Wentz went back to Eagles Carson Wentz for the afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I watched that whole game. Actually, I had a Jonathan Taylor rush prop max play yesterday. Didn't win that, obviously. Ended up 77 yards.
I will say a lot of people were on that. I found like a lot of people that I respect were on that.
Yeah, lots. Usually. No, it's funny.
Sandy's one of the people I respect.
Okay. No, I tweeted my play out yesterday, JT over, and it was 100. The prop was at 118 and a half yards. It's a fuck ton yards. It's like that. And it moved up. Yeah, because people were really hitting it hard.
Yeah.
My thing is watching like the play calling. They weren't giving him the ball. They give him the ball on 1st down. He would get like early in the game, he was getting 2 or 3 yards of carry. And then he broke a couple long runs. And then you see Carson Wentz running play action boots on 1st and 2nd down. I'm like, you have Jonathan Taylor, like give him the ball. Like, and then I see Carson Wentz throwing just 40-yard ducks downfield as interceptions. Like he had a fumble, he had an interception. He should have had 2. He should have had 2 sacks. Just absurd. Like you can't win with that. And Carson Wentz, would it be more on brand for him just to blow it in the last week of the season? Like, I don't think so. Like everyone was like, holy shit, Carson Wentz is back. Like he was playing well. obviously. And then he first interception on the road, I think was against the Jaguars. So, which is nuts.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. But I mean, I was disgruntled. They didn't give the ball to JT enough, in my opinion. I think that's a big reason why they lost. But
they also got stopped on 4th down a couple times though.
Yeah.
Game did get away from them. The game did get away from them early, I kind of found.
Yeah.
But the other thing though is that the Colts were that team nobody wanted to play, and then they're not even.
We all said that. Everyone was saying that. It's so true.
It was that Super Bowl. Their Super Bowl was beating the Patriots a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
On Saturday. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Anything else? I got one more thing, mostly related to coaching, but anything else you guys want to talk about from Sunday or Saturday?
Kind of went the way we expected it to, most things besides those, right?
That Steelers-Ravens game was atrocious. I thought it was hilarious because they like that game was early, so in the 4 o'clock slot, and then before the 8 o'clock game, and even at halftime on NBC, they were showing the highlights from that game. And I love how the winning play that they showed on every single network was that conversion to get into field goal range, and Ben like threw it, had his shoelaces, like underthrew the shit out of him. But it just kind of epitomizes the Steelers and what Big Ben's been doing this year. But they're dancing. They're in the playoffs. They're gonna get killed, but they're in the playoffs.
Yeah. One last ride for Big Ben. There you go.
Doesn't deserve it.
I think
Mike Tomlin.
I think them tying and him not making the playoffs would have been the proper send off. Like them celebrating, doing all that stuff.
Yeah. What was that? No, not 9-7-2, 8-7-2 is what it would be. Yeah. That would have been bad to see him like finish and then have a chance, and then he wouldn't really finish with it being on his terms. Oh, getting to coaching. The Vic Fangio send-off on Saturday was fucking awesome. Did you guys see that? Obviously, you probably
I watched. Yeah, I was watching. I had the Chiefs. They pushed my teaser spread, so I wasn't very happy. But I mean, this guy, Vic Fangio's gone. Like you saw, it was just a wipeout. They wiped out a couple of guys this morning. But yeah. I mean, he's just like, I don't know. He's a good defensive coach for me. Like I'm not a hate.
Great.
He's a great defensive coach, but like I don't know. I've always been team like hire an offensive minded guy. Like that's always been my kind of standpoint on this. Not to say I'm right. I'm just saying that's always what I've preferred. And what I've watched on my teams that I vote for. But I think he's a good defensive coach. He's going to get a job somewhere, obviously. He's not going to be a head coach in my opinion.
Oh, he's definitely getting a job. Like very, very like as soon as the
someone's going to pick him up. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But I just love the field goal, 4 minutes left, down 7. Just you're not a playoff team. You have no chance of being in the playoffs. I just thought it was the perfect way for him to finish his time there because he was very good. I find a lot of the defensive guys are pretty conservative.
I mean, it was just like a sorry, sad sack of shit, like way to end, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What was me? Whatever. We're not going to win anyways.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm going to get to coaching after we talk a little bit of Super Bowl futures. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on. This is like the perfect time for me for when I start betting Super Bowl futures as soon as the season ends, because I hate sitting on my money. I kind of probably shouldn't be like that, but that's just how I am. I'm willing to sit in it for a month, but not for the entire season. Yeah. So have you seen anything you want to attack in the futures market for the Super Bowl?
For me, so I don't do I do win total futures on the regular season. I don't usually place anything like first week of the season for Super Bowl. I know you hopped on the Packers early. I want to say like a month ago, T-Mac or so, and you got way better. You must have gotten like 2x these odds. I'm assuming. What number did you get again?
Yeah, I had plus 1,000 on the Packers, so plus 400 so nice. Now.
Yeah, and I jumped in a little late on the train there 2 weeks ago on the Packers at plus 700. So that's mine right now. I'm probably going to throw out another one in the AFC as well. I don't like. For me, I wanted to do the Bucs a couple weeks ago, but the way they've been playing with their injuries, the receiver stuff, the running backs, I'm worried about the Bucs. Like they have Shaq Barrett didn't play yesterday. I don't know if it's serious, but they have some defensive injuries as well. I just like, I'm not too confident in the Bucs. They were early on the season. That was kind of the team I was looking at along with the Packers. Nothing really that gets me going. The Bills at plus 700, I don't hate, but I wouldn't say I'm in love with it. But those are probably two that I'm looking at.
I like
Dave, what do you think?
I'm on the Cowboys right now. I think I'm gonna place a bet on the Cowboys at those odds with the 1,200. Yeah, with the ability to score points. Sure, might be a winner, but at those odds, I think it's a no-brain play for me personally. I think they can make a run. Their offense is good enough. Their defense can play up. Micah Parsons is good enough for that defense kind of play above their ability. I think it's one of the few units I can play above their ability here in the playoffs. Sure, they're the Cowboys. Sure, they're bound to fuck up. But at those odds, I think it's a decently sharp play for me.
Avery, I like that a lot. It's funny because I think right now, like, look at the Rams. My concern with the Rams is Matt Stafford. He's going to throw late game interceptions. Like, he's been doing that lately in key games. I know they're winning and they're good, but I think the Cowboys have a real chance to win the NFC. And I'm a Packers fan. I'm saying that honestly. I'm more worried about the Cowboys than I am the Rams. And I'm more worried about the Cowboys than I am the Buccaneers at this point. Not to say that Tom Brady will likely come on. That team will figure it out before we get to see him. But I like the Cowboys at plus 1,200. Those are incredible odds, Avery. I definitely agree.
Yeah, they're gonna get the Bucks, right? They're not gonna get the Packers because I believe they're the 3 seed, correct?
Yeah.
So I don't mind that at all. I think that I'm going to give the Packers some praise right now because I do think that Rodgers is kind of doing whatever he wants, and they're going to they got Bakhtiari back last week. They're going to get Jair Alexander back. Like, imagine the fact that they haven't been playing with one of the best corners in the sport.
And the center, they got their center back, the rookie center from Myers. I don't know where he's from school.
Ohio State, right?
Ohio State guy. Yeah. He was a beast in the first part of the season, got injured. So the Packers were playing with 3 like backup linemen, even 4 in some cases. So I definitely think getting those, Bakhtiari all-pro back, Jair Alexander all-pro back. These guys are big pieces of our team. Darius Smith, I saw a tweet this morning that he's coming back. Like, if we can get all these guys back, I think my worry is getting them to game speed, right? It's not easy to come back after missing all those weeks. So it's a balance between,
it's the Packers Super Bowl to lose, right?
It is 100%.
Completely.
There's no,
they're not the underdog. No one doesn't respect them this year. Like, you're the favorite.
100%. Yes. Not just by the odds tell us, obviously they're the favorite. They are the best team in the NFL. They should win this Super Bowl because they are very complete. Like, they haven't had a defense like this since their last Super Bowl. Right?
Yeah,
like that's
that's a good take. They have the worst special teams in the history of NFL, though. So God knows. I've seen the narrative too often that it's going to fucking cost us at some point.
There's 3. What do we say, Avery? What do we say?
3 phases.
There's 3 phases of the game, right?
Yeah.
3 phases of the game.
There is. No, certainly. Phase. Yeah, I gotta have it. Seriously. But yeah, they're the favorite.
I really like I have the Packers my NFC team, so I always find my AFC team, and I think it's the Bills for sure. The Bills have built this roster and this team, and it's designed to play against Kansas City. They don't give a shit about everybody else in that conference. They're building a roster and building a game plan and a scheme that is built to play and beat Kansas City. They've already done it this year. I think they can do it again. Plus 700 is really nice. I also will say, on like the complete other side, when was the last time in the playoffs with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback that you could get the Chiefs at anything? They're at 500 right now. Usually this time of year, they'd be like plus 300. So that's something to keep in mind for a lot of people too.
You kind of preach that preseason too, right? Like, Chiefs at any odds, that you'd be kind of dumb not to look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't say the Chiefs here. I want them to win. It's people being concerned about the Chiefs don't know what the fuck they're talking about. The Chiefs are very opportunistic on defense. They've found a way. Obviously, they lost to the Bengals. I think if that's a playoff game, it turns out differently for them in that situation. But I have no worries about the Chiefs. If they're going to beat the teams they should beat, they'll lose to the teams they shouldn't beat. It's not going to they're not going to go crazy.
Lose the Steelers.
If they lose to the Steelers,
oh my God,
that would be something. But
like, they house fire everyone.
Very well lose to the Bills here.
I agree with that.
I know this is going against what Avery said with the Cowboys, but what do you guys think of the Niners? I think they're a type of team that, because they got in, I do think they're a little bit frisky. I know Jimmy G battling that injury, but man, Kyle Shanahan, that second half was great yesterday.
It's funny, T-Mac. It's actually hilarious because we made an episode of the long form about bashing Kyle Shanahan. Ever since that, I feel like they've just, the whole season has turned around, because that was the low point of their year. And then after that, they started trending upwards. So funny that's kind of ironic. I
will say, if they lost, didn't make it, there'd definitely be some chatter in the media amongst, is this guy overrated? I do think he's still overrated, but still.
Yeah. But yeah, back to what I was saying, like, that's another team. Like, the Colts are a hot team coming to the playoffs. The 49ers are a hot team. Obviously the Colts didn't make it, but the 49ers made it, and they're hot. Like, that's a team that could get a win against a big, higher seed team. So I really think, I'm not going to put a Super Bowl future on them, but look at them next week, they are this weekend actually. And who do they have again? They have
the Cowboys. They have the Cowboys. Yeah. I mean, plus 2,000, man. I think they're that really deep team, but I do get.
I can't jump on that ship, the Super Bowl ship, but maybe getting a win against the boys.
Dak could have a day passing wise like he did against the Eagles. So because that secondary is not great, but they're really good against the run. So Zeke probably shouldn't be doing too much. Let's get to Black Monday. It is Black Monday. We've lost a number of coaches. I mean, yeah. We've already got Urban gone, right? The Raiders, I would think Rich Bisaccia is going to get that job, right?
But he's gone for sure. Yeah.
No, I mean, the dude
make the playoffs.
I don't know, man. That's
a special teams coach. That is the acting head coach.
Hey, Joe Judge was a special teamer.
I mean, he's gone too.
I wouldn't use that as the best example.
I don't know if is he gone yet, Joe Judge?
No,
I heard he was like talking to management, like pleading his case. He said he came up with like a game plan to make the team better.
Yeah.
My God.
Let's see it. I'd love to see that.
We didn't even mention that. That sneak was the comedy act of all comedy acts.
3rd and 7, whatever. 3rd and 7 on their own 5.
They did it multiple times. They did it on second down and 3rd down, I thought.
Oh my!
New York Football Giants are just horrific. It's hard to watch.
They fly under the radar bad. Like
they're not.
I
think they do.
Yeah,
I watch a lot of Giants, but maybe I just watch more Giants football than the general public. I find myself always finding
they have the worst record since that boat pick, right?
Oh my God, that meme! Yeah, since Odell took the receiving core,
I think they have the worst record, but they don't talk
by far. Yeah.
No, they've been over. The Jets have been the team that everybody's made fun of, and then during the year, early the year, it was all Jacksonville. The Giants are definitely getting their shame now, especially after that play yesterday. But I do agree. I think I cannot believe that we're going from the Jets being the laughing stock of the league to now another team in New York.
It's a shame. I was going to say that's the shame of it all. Is like those two New York teams. Like you got to have one, at least have one that's good. Like it's actually a crime that they're both arguably the worst teams in the NFL outside of the Jaguars. So
yeah. Okay. So I think that I know they said they're keeping him. I don't know why they would do it. I don't know. I can't think of a good reason to keep him around at this point. It's been everything from training camp. If you go back to dealt a bad hand that he ended up with having to play Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm the last 6-7 weeks, but still, I mean, okay, let's go.
Well, so the Giants' fault there too is you sign Kenny Golladay and you take a first round receiver in Kadarius Toney, and they both scored no touchdowns.
Yeah, those two are. I like Toney, but okay. Moving to all these coaches we've got. So Flores, let's start with Flores. Flores is let go. I don't want to get too long here, but anything. I thought it was crazy. I mean, I'm not going to say this guy's an incredible head coach, but he's 4-2 against the Patriots. So, I mean, that speaks for itself.
On this list, T-Mac, and I kind of agree with you here. Look at the names below Brian Flores on our list here. We have Matt Nagy, Zimmer, Fangio, Meyer, and Gruden. Like, I would think Flores would be on this list as the better than all of those coaches. I mean, I'm going to keep Gruden off, but other than Gruden, Brian Flores is a better coach than all those coaches. I knew for sure that like Nagy, Zimmer, Fangio, and Meyer were gone. Like Meyer was obviously fired early in the year, but Brian is a little more surprising to me. Flores a little more surprising, I'd say.
So here, I got a little thing here. 1914 over his 2 seasons, right? Second top 10 defense in 3 years, Brian Flores has put together. But Stephen Ross, Michigan's biggest booster, owner of the Dolphins. You think he's bringing Harbaugh with him to Miami?
Oh man, Avery's in the lab right now. I love it.
Do you think that he wants to go to Miami more than he would want to go coach Chicago and coach the Bears?
I hope so.
Like the Bears is a big draw, I think, for a guy like him in terms of like turning that type of franchise around. That the candy ass Dolphins. I mean, they're a legend.
I mean, they're going to get him Deshaun Watson. But whoever's there, they're changing quarterbacks. If you're willing to part with your head coach, who's a good head coach, like. You're brain dead, so you're going to get Deshaun Watson. You're going to give up all the picks for him, I think.
Yeah. Anything there? What do you think, Sandy? The Harbaugh buzz has been really interesting.
I don't want a Harbaugh to go to the Bears. I'm a Packers fan, obviously.
Yeah.
I would hate to see that. I think Harbaugh's a great coach. He's gotten some shade over the years. I like him as a coach. I'd rather see Harbaugh go to Florida into Miami. So that's where my take. I don't know the depth of that research you just pulled out, Avery, but it seems like there's obviously a connection there. And I've heard rumors about Harbaugh the last couple of weeks. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised if that happened after hearing what you just said. But as I said, rather see him go to Miami than Chicago, in my opinion.
Zimmer out too. I think had to be done type thing. I don't think Zimmer's a terrible coach, but there just was some really poor things offensively in terms of how the season went this year. Because I do think they were in a spot with Kirk Cousins that they really thought they'd be a contender, not just a playoff team.
Yeah, I think they believe in Kirk Cousins more than Zimmer here, which is, I think it's not a horrible idea. So see if you can get any last ounce of life out of him and see if you can make another run. It was just kind of like change of scenery or a change of culture kind of around the organization. They need get an offensive mind in there. It was needed to be done. You can't keep doing the same shit every year in that division, right?
Zimmer's been around for a long time. There just always comes a time when you got to make some sort of change. Okay, let me rapid fire. Just give me yes or no of some coaches that are on the hot seat. Tell me, are these guys the head coach for their teams next year? Let's start with Pete Carroll.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Joe Judge.
No.
David Culley.
No.
No. I'm gonna go with no as well.
You guys think no? Okay. Matt Rule.
Yeah, they announced yesterday that he would be there.
I do. So, I knew that.
Yeah. I don't not that he should be, but that's what they said. So yes.
And let me give you a bit of a spicy one because Browns fans have been getting a little bit tired of Kevin Stefanski. Does he stay in Cleveland?
He stays.
My problem is Browns fans don't make the decisions, but they were screaming at him to run the damn ball in the stadium. I don't know if you saw that clip. They've been yelling. Yeah. They've had enough, but I don't know if the front office has had enough. I think they like Kevin Stefanski. I would want to fire Kevin Stefanski, but I don't think they're going to. I think he'll remain there next season for sure.
Yeah, I'm in on that. I think him and Baker get another shot. Baker, the other thing with me with Baker is I do think that he taken a good brunt from fans, from Browns fans, and taking some good heat. But I do think that he, played through a lot this year. Like he had a lot of injuries that he played through to stay on the field. I think he deserves another chance. Not to say that I think he's going to be, a high level quarterback in this league, but I do think he deserves a chance to have one more go at it and see what they can do. But they were a big disappointment this year. I mean, there's some good AFC teams not in the playoffs.
Man, I had a AFC Champions future on the Browns at the beginning of the year. I was pumped on it. And now I'm so down bad about it. It's just that team collapsed. Just horrible. But it wouldn't be more on brand for the Browns. I mean, can you really be that surprised, right? So
no. Avery, I've got that list of coaching candidates. I don't know if you looked at it.
Yeah,
I know you said Harbaugh, but is there anyone else that you think is a good fit somewhere?
Byron Leftwich is going to the Jags. I think it's pretty much a done deal.
What do you I haven't read, is that actually some good noise around that?
What I've seen on Twitter, it's just been fans wanting him back. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen many real reports on it, but it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, successful, beat around a successful team, organization. And I do think that he's been a bit, how old is he?
He's not very old, I don't think.
Okay. I do think that there's a chance that they go for someone that's a little bit older for some more consistency, like a Doug Peterson even. What do you think of Peterson? He's got to get back in the league for sure.
For sure. I could see Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. I don't know why I think that fits, but I could see it. The three coaches for me on this list, my favorite three for positions this year, Byron Leftwich, Nathaniel Hackett, and Eric Bieniemy. Those are my three top. I love all three of those guys. I know they're all OCs. So as I said, offensive minded kind of guy. So that's the approach I take. But I mean, I think Nathaniel Hackett's one of the best OCs in football with Bieniemy as well. And I just think there's a lot of discussion around Hackett. He's already taken interviews and stuff. So I'm almost writing him off as gone next year into another role. So
he interviewed for the Falcons job last year, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So I do think that, second time through, there's definitely going to be some buzz. Now, one that I think will be running rampant for at least a few months will be Ryan Day and the Bears and Urban Meyer going back to Ohio State.
I don't have any connection to Ryan Day. Really. I think you put whoever there at Ohio State and they win. So Ryan Day, you can go to the Bears. Fuck them.
You're ready for Urban back, Dave?
Yeah. I'm an Urban Meyer guy. I am.
He's ready to tear up the Ohio bar scene once he gets back up there.
I do think that they'd be open to that. I really think they'd be open to that.
That's my coach.
Okay. Yeah, Urban wins national championships. Urban would be fine if he went back to college, and he would come back. They'd take him back with open arms.
Oh yeah, they would.
Okay. Fantasy season is over. I didn't win any. I made 2 fantasy championships, lost them both. We don't need to talk about that. Amari St Brown did try to will me to a championship. Look, Jared is not here, but Tyler gave you a league winner at the beginning of the year, and Jared laughed at me. He laughed at me. The people in our Discord were laughing at me. Come on.
I loved it.
This is you. You earned this, T-Mac. I never threw you much shade, but God damn it, it was you versus the world on this one. And I mean, the guy's just 20-point after 20-point performance at the end of the year. I mean, that's most, like, if you had him, you likely had a chance of winning your league or getting far in playoffs. So
in 35 points in the fantasy championship week, so he was good. Okay, give me a rookie or just any player in dynasty that you're going to be. Let's start with that you're going to be buying.
All right, I'll go first. This is kind of a wild one, but I guess it's not that wild. But Travis Etienne, I'm buying Travis Etienne because you're not going to have to give up. I don't know what you're going to have to give up for him, but I'm going to try buying him. I'm in a couple leagues. We haven't seen him play in the league. I think he's a guy on the list of someone I'd be looking at to buy for 2022. I'm also looking at Michael Carter. I don't want to take one of you guys if you had him too, but what he's been able to do for the Jets this year and his forward outlook looks pretty good. So those are 2 guys, running backs, that I'm looking at for 2022.
Yeah, I think Etienne's interesting. I think Lawrence could definitely use someone he's really familiar with because it was a struggle this year for him. Dave, what do you think?
The guy I'm going to try and get in Dynasty is Michael Thomas.
Really?
Yeah.
Whack ass shit.
So you don't lose the ability to play football like after a year, right?
You want to know what this is, Avery? We were in the office and it was near Christmas time and you just threw on that national championship and you watched him make that incredible catch in the end zone, toe tapping. I think that was an NFL catch, wasn't it?
Probably. He's an NFL stud. I think there's no reason not to try and get Michael Thomas. Like, whoever's going to be playing quarterback there isn't going to be a stud probably. So you can use that check down guy, right? Like, he was Cooper Kupp before. Like, he plays that role.
Is he going to be in New Orleans? Does he want to play?
You don't care about him
like I'm worried
Avery,
about
you don't care where he is. You don't care where he is. You're going for him.
Yeah, I don't care where he is. Like, obviously, I don't want him on the Jets. Braxton Berrios and Elijah Moore do a lot of what Michael Thomas does. So but he would be the best receiver there right away.
Yeah, I also feel like that locker room. I worry about the locker room. I worry about like that. I'm not saying he's a locker room cancer or bad in the locker room. I'm just saying that team example Jets there. There's a lot going on with that team. I don't know if adding Michael Thomas to the team, like I'm just saying what if, but I probably wouldn't be buying Michael Thomas. He ends up on the Jets, but on the Saints, I mean, I'd probably go for Michael Thomas. I don't know what you would get. Like what would be something you'd get for him? I don't even know what his value would be right now. Like, I don't know if you guys
probably
do
tough
either.
to say.
Yeah.
It's tough to say. Dynasty wise, like I can imagine he'd be like, I'm trying to think of somebody that I'd make a good like comparison to.
Okay. Would you want Would you want either of the 2 Ohio State wide receivers or Michael Thomas coming out of the draft?
Yeah, I'll probably take out both those guys.
I'm taking the wide receivers. Yeah. And
yeah, sure. So he's worth less than a mid to late first rounder in a first year player draft based on what you guys think there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's probably in the second round range.
Let me do another scenario here. Another scenario before we move on to who we're selling. Who are you taking next year? Who would you rather have on your dynasty team for 2022? Calvin Ridley or Michael Thomas?
Oh, Calvin Ridley.
Ridley.
Even though they're probably closer in age than we think, though. But Ridley's gonna probably, even if Ridley
he'll be out. Ridley asked for out. He's not going to play in Atlanta next year. I know that for sure. Like, I think he's going to want to get out of there. He's mentioned it multiple times lately, but who knows?
See, that's why I think Michael Thomas is a guy you can like legitimately get, though.
Yeah, because he's not. Nobody really wants him that much. That's for sure.
Exactly. So look at him like say an AB type season, like when AB played this year. Michael Thomas can do that. Like, just you need to like trying to cut out the bullshit to see what you want and what other people can get is the hard part of valuing how to get Michael Thomas at this point.
He could be that guy that just like ends up released. It gets so bad, and then he kind of has us pick of the litter. Okay, let me go to who I have. I really like. Avery's gonna love this. Rashod Bateman, rookie wise. I
had him written down. If we were doing
one of you guys were gonna take that. That's for sure.
I think the patience is going to wear thin with Marquise Brown. I mean, this second half, the drops, I think you give him a chance of a full off season now because of that injury. He didn't really have the chance to really get going with the ones. So I think he's going to get a good chance to do that. And with Lamar, because we don't forget that Lamar missed 5 games this year too. So I really like Rashod Bateman. I think he can profile to be the alpha in the offense. I know we've got Mark Andrews, but I don't really think the Ravens will make an investment on a receiver in the draft, at least early on. I think they'll look somewhere else, especially considering the injuries they dealt with. Some of those guys are not going to be able to come back and play at a high level. Like if I think of Marcus Peters in the secondary, like he's been around. I don't know if he can come back and play at a high level. So you think about the secondary as a spot they spend capital on early as opposed to a receiver.
Yeah, I think Rashod Bateman's a very, very good receiver. It's just kind of been tough getting him in. You're right. He missed a little bit at the start. And then after the bye week kind of got more involved, but then it just kind of fluttered his usage and it didn't help with Lamar being injured. I agree.
Yeah. Huntley, QB, Josh Johnson.
Yeah. The good from him was good enough for me to want more of Rashod Bateman.
Yeah, certainly.
Definitely someone people aren't thinking of right now in terms of the rookies. Let's go to who you guys are looking to sell. You'll go rookies, or you can go kind of wide open.
I'll go a little more wide open on my sell. I'm selling Matthew Stafford. I know it's kind of late. He's an older guy, but that Rams team, I as I said earlier in the top of the show here, too many turnovers. I think the Rams are in trouble down the road. Like maybe next year and the year after they'll be fine, but that team's going to be in trouble come, a few years after that. They went all in, for this run right now. And if they can't make something happen this year, same trouble, they're going to be pressed next year to, do something as well. So I think, a guy like Matthew Stafford, I'm going to be selling this year. And that's probably the top guy on my list. I'd be shopping.
I have one that I've talked about wanting all the time. I think I could sell Elijah Moore in Dynasty for.
I want to buy.
Sure. I think because his price is astronomically high right now.
We saw a lot of good things. Later in the year before he's injured.
That's where I'm looking at it. I believe in the player. I believe in the talent, but I think right now he's like high and away, like maybe overvalued. So would I take like Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, or who's the Arkansas guy?
Traylon Burks.
That guy's insane.
Like
people can't stop talking about Traylon Burks.
Yeah.
Like Drake London too. I love those guys' profiles more than Elijah Moore, I think, at this point.
Agreed. He's a very fast guy, but there is in terms of, the ability on the outside is really limited to what he can do with his legs and how he can create separation. He's not a guy that's going to battle in contested situations or really tough with his hands in those kind of tight windows. So I don't hate it because I think we're pretty excited about the new crop that's coming in wide receiver wise. Burks is people are like DK Metcalf. Traylon Burks is DK Metcalf. That's what people are saying.
And that can be like a downfall though, like valuing people who have come in, right? More than people who have shown that they can be legitimate contributors in the league. So it's my downfall for fantasy baseball where I believe too much in prospects sometimes when they come up. Maybe it's how I am in football. But it's just how I am. I can't fucking change it.
Obsessed with the next big thing.
Absolutely.
I've got two. I'll start with Amon-Ra. I think, as the Amon-Ra truther, as the Amon-Ra stand, as the guy who told you about Amari St Brown before the season, I do think that things are going to get out of control. Let's remember that all this production that came in the second half came without TJ Hawkinson, who did demand a pretty good target share in his, when he was healthy. He's a 4th round pick. I like Amari St Brown. I think his athletic profile is not good. He's not fast. He's a good route runner. Let's not confuse this guy with being this, crafty, speedy, great cutting in his routes. That's not the type of guy he is. So if there is someone that they will most definitely be spending draft capital on, look, they spent a 4th round pick on Amon-Ra. They can spend a second, first on a receiver these next couple of years. That is going to impact how, that target volume is just not going to be there. It's just not.
The other thing with the Lions too is they're not playing for shit. Like they're in the back half. You should see the play. I watched a little bit of the Packers game. I was a little too disgusted to watch the whole thing, but they were running double reverses, like passes, like all these trick plays. Like they don't give a shit. They're doing they were not running an offense like this in the beginning of the season. Like it just looks like a different team. Maybe they're figuring things out. That could be Dan Campbell kind of, in fueling the boys to be better, but I still think there's, less pressure on them right now, and they're kind of just airing it out and letting it fly. So I definitely think some regression's due for him, T-Mac. I like that one for sure.
I like my dynasty teams. He's on all my teams because I was so fucking smart, but I do think that there's a chance to sell. Like I really think if you look at Kadarius Toney, like think about that share he had, the targets per routes run that he had when he was healthy and playing was insane. He had like 12, 13 target games when he was playing. He could be a really interesting asset next year. Of course, if he could stay on the field, that's always the big if.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go to, I want a quick question. Is there anything that stops, barring an offseason injury, does anything stop Jonathan Taylor from being the number 1 overall pick in redraft next year?
No,
not for me. It's like, I think we're going to see like what we saw with Christian McCaffrey this year. It was just like, it's a no-brainer. Like, I think that's the exact same thing we're going to be seeing in redraft this year in 2022.
And I think this is the year that you want Christian McCaffrey on your team when people aren't taking him first overall. Like, I want to have Christian McCaffrey now that people don't want him, if that makes sense.
I did a 1st round mock article on our site, and people were so surprised at how high I had McCaffrey. I think I had him at like 5. Guys, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have a whole offseason, and we're going to remind ourselves that when that dude's on the field, there's nobody that can touch him. Jonathan Taylor can't touch Christian McCaffrey when Christian McCaffrey is playing. So I guarantee you, as we get closer to the season, he will be a middle of the 1st round pick for sure. But again, the thing about JT and why I asked it is that, I mean, you look at previous years, the guy who was number 1 at the position is never number 1 at the position the next year. It just rarely happens. So
yeah. I mean, the best ability is availability. I mean, that's just, I love that line, and it's just what it is. And Christian McCaffrey hasn't been available. He's been injured. Yeah. Like, I want to say the last 2 seasons pretty bad. And it's just something like, I'm going to be, if he's in the 1st round, I'm mid to late round, he's there, I'm grabbing him. That's no question. But I definitely think, JT is going in the number 1 spot. Like, pretty
for sure.
In 2022.
That we're clipping that for TikTok. People are going to love that. I guarantee people are going to be on the same page with me, and that people are going to just fall in love with him with tons of time before the season starts with McCaffrey. Yeah. Who do you guys think was the biggest fantasy disappointment this year? We can take it a ton of different ways. There's different definitions of disappointment. Injuries, leave the injuries out of it. Let's leave the injuries out of it.
Allen Robinson.
I mean, it's unfair if it's mental health. I don't like to pick on it. Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson and Calvin Ridley were mine too, because I had them on. Yeah. I had them across like 2 or 3 different leagues, which was a shame. Really hurt me this year. I was drafting Ridley in the 2nd round.
I know.
The 3rd round. Like, that's insane, man. Like, Robinson was up there too. What was Robinson, like 4th round, 3rd round?
He was like right around the 12th, 13th, 11th wide receiver off the board. Yeah. So, yeah, he was somewhere around there.
Yeah. So that's brutal, man.
Robbie Anderson too, for me, it was bad.
That was the sleeper that was just like 47% catch rate. Just hilarious stat lines every week. Okay. I want to give one that I think is disappointing, but I think it's even more disappointing because I do think people are going to have plenty of reason to be back in. It's a bit of a cop-out because there were some injuries, but Clyde EdwardsHelaire, because when he was healthy, when he was playing, you kind of saw some of those moments that made you think this was the guy that we were excited about when he was a rookie. But then he'd been hurt. He was out a bit. So I think it's bad because he finished as the RB 44. But I also think it's bad because I think there's still reason to be in on him for next year. Which I think
cut up the Eagles. He was really good against the Eagles.
Yeah,
there's a couple games this year where he was very, very good. And the Chiefs have shown because of how defense have played the Chiefs this year, they haven't thrown like they had in years past. Right? There is reason to have a good running back in this offense, fantasy wise.
Yes.
It's for the team wise. I mean, they
for sure. Yeah,
that that's a different offense with a good running back in there.
A lot more checking the ball down this year from Mahomes. So I do think Clyde is a disappointing one because he's going to be drafted next year, probably too high. Other ones I had, I mean, I thought Claypool was really disappointing. I think he was one player people were excited about. He had a 59. He had 105 targets, only 59 receptions, and only 2 touchdowns this year. For a guy of his size.
Yeah, I went and got
Ben just throws the ball at his feet, though. You see a lot of those.
Yeah,
it's like not even close.
I mean, I went and got Claypool in one of my leagues like before week 1 even kicked off. I was pretty high on him this year. I thought he was gonna have a good year, but yeah, unfortunately, it didn't work out for me. I would agree with that take, T-Mac.
That's a guy I'll be back in on though next year. Like it's the guys that you think are gonna break out. It's the year after you think they're gonna break out is when it usually happens. So like don't forget
him
too much in your head.
Yeah, don't forget his profile. Like he profiles as a guy that should catch a lot of touchdowns, right? It was a bad year though. Last one I'll say is also Myles Gaskin. Like Duke Johnson had like 24 rushing attempts this past week. Flores was so willing to just like move on to the next guy with Gaskin. He was in that dead zone. Like he could say Mike Davis, but I don't think we kind of knew this could happen to Mike Davis because he's just not that good. But Gaskin was bad. Okay. Let's do about 2 more. First one will be, who do you want to target in as many drafts as possible next year?
For me, it's Antonio Gibson. I think it was an injury-filled season. We saw what he could do before. I think he's going to drop a little again, maybe based on where he was drafted, but kind of like that second round, that turn type player. I think that's where he should be for next year.
Yeah, like where Clyde was this year, really, that 2-3 turn.
Yeah.
Gibson, I mean, he had issues with fumbling and stuff. He's had those issues, but I think that offense, I don't think Heineke's going to be the starter next year. That's my take. I think
I think he might be the starter, but
you think so?
I think they draft
either way.
Someone.
Yeah. Either way, they'll have another quarterback in there within the next year or two, in my opinion. And I think that's a good pick, Avery. I like Gibson a lot.
Sandy, what do you think?
For me, a guy I'm going a little deeper in the round here. I'm going to be targeting AJ Dillon, a guy I love.
I had him.
I had AJ. Was that your guy? Shit.
Yeah.
Well, we can just jam on him now. That guy is an absolute workhorse. I'm worried with Aaron Jones. He's had 4 MCL sprains in his NFL career. And he's only been in the league for 5 or 6 years now, I think, which is crazy. But anyways, I think Dillon's a guy that's had the carries. He's been BC. He set the record for most carries in the history of college football, I believe. I don't know if that's a good stat.
I think for the team.
But the guy was just a workhorse. He'll play. He can catch passes too. You saw glimpses of it this year, right? And Aaron Rodgers is a guy, if he's there next year, and if he's not there next year, AJ Dillon's going to be even more valuable because they're going to run the ball a ton more. So I like AJ Dillon next year. I think he's going to be. You're going to see in the playoffs this year how much AJ Dillon's going to be used, and then his stock is going to be way higher going into 2022 is what I think.
So I had Jack Bursey send me a text message.
He tried to cop AJ Dillon for me in Dynasty. The guy's out to fucking lunch.
And I said,
there's no way.
He said, what are the chances that Sandy gives me AJ Dillon? And I said, pretty much 0, but like, see if you can try and do something.
Yeah. He sent me, it wasn't a bad trade. T-Mac, you can talk more on this while I pull it up, but.
Yeah. The biggest thing that surprised me with Dillon, like in terms of the total numbers once the year was up, was that he had more more carries inside the 5. He had more carries inside the 20 than Aaron Jones did. And that was, early in the season, Dillon wasn't on the level he was in terms of playing time that he was near the end of the year. So, I mean, like you said with Jones, there's been those knee injuries. I know they spent the money on him, but I do think that there's a chance Dillon could end up being like the RB1 on the team. And who knows who knows what happens with that offense with Aaron Rodgers and whatnot.
But there's a lot. The offseason will be big. And I think Aaron Jones, you paid him too. I've never been a proponent of paying running backs. That's all. Never, ever draft them, find them, sign them, whatever you got to do, but don't pay them. But AJ Dillon, I love him. The trade, it's actually hilarious. It's a horrible trade. It's AJ Dillon for Jack's 2022 first round pick. I would never accept that. And he won the league. He won the league. So he can F off. But love the guy. Not today.
So I also had a couple other guys written down. I'll go Javonte because I do think people are getting a little galaxy brain with themselves and saying that you can be really excited about how good he is, but he still needs to have the opportunity. The dude is ridiculously good in terms of his tackle breaking ability. He was the best player in the NFL in terms of tackle breaking. In terms of breaking yards or 10 plus carries. He was in terms of per touch, 10 plus yard carries. He was the leader. The guy is really, really good. The Broncos are not going to look past how good he is. He is going to get the opportunity. He's going to be really, really good. So I'll definitely be looking to get him, but I think there'll be a lot of competition for him. But I do think that
100%.
I'm going to prioritize him because I love him so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one, and then we'll get to, I have to talk about, we don't have a Monday game, but I got to talk about the national championship. Do you have a sleeper for next year of someone that you're excited about that I don't think a lot of people would be?
This one's off the board. Amari Smith Marset from the Vikings. If Adam Thielen goes, I think he's a very talented receiver. Took him in the 25th round of our dynasty startup last year, but he showed out
25th round.
19 points last game. He was only on the field for fucking like 50% of the plays, 3 catches for 103 yards. I mean, he broke to get a huge one, but I don't know. I think there's something there.
If the roster construction breaks his way, then maybe there's an opportunity for him. Because Osborne wasn't bad this year too.
No.
Yeah, Osborne was good for sure.
Sandy?
I'll go to you first. The sleeper. We're talking redraft sleeper, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, take the reins, yeah.
I like Josh Palmer in Dynasty, but I also think I'm going to like him in redraft. His role really expanded late in the season. I don't think Mike Williams is going to be back. I think they might spend the money they have on a free agent, an Allen Robinson or something. But Josh Palmer, he was out of Tennessee as a rookie this year with the Chargers. I think the way Justin Herbert's been playing, I think he could be someone you could get basically for free at the end of drafts next year. I'd be excited about him.
Yeah, for my sleeper, I didn't really get to this question before the chat here, but a guy that I mentioned earlier, ETN's not really I wouldn't categorize him as a sleeper. He hasn't played a game in the NFL, but he'll be going way later than he was this year, I'm betting. So that's a guy I'll be looking to grab. I think he's, he'll add another element to that Jaguars offense that obviously needs, they had Robinson this year, but he had some injuries and obviously didn't play at the end of the year, but you're a young core team. I think he'll have a good chance to really produce next year, and I'll be looking for him in 2022 for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of first round running backs drafted in the first round, if the Eagles spend one of those picks on a running back, that dude is going to be a smash draft. Like I even had Miles Sanders written down here because if whoever is the starter for the Eagles in that offense with Jalen Hurts is going to be somebody that I want to. So
yeah.
First round running backs can be valuable. ETN has a chance for sure. National championship. For some of you might not watch college football, but you got to watch it on Monday. The solo game, Georgia, Alabama, the battle of the SEC. It's a rematch. Georgia minus 2.5. Over under is 52.5. Can I get your predictions or any bets that you're looking at? Sandy, you got a bet?
Oh, I got a bet.
The dogs. You like the dogs.
T-Mac, I know a a lot of things. I've been gambling for a good amount of time. And
here it comes.
One thing. Oh, you know where I'm sitting. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. And this Bama train has been just feeding my bank account. I am not switching up on Bama. I know there's actually a lot of value in Georgia minus 2.5 at that number. Now I'm not denying that, but I love Bama. I'm going to take them straight up to win tonight. I also lean over. I didn't actually place a bet on it yet, but I likely will at some point. But I do like Bama to win this game straight up. I'm not overthinking it. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at just everything Bama's been able to do. Nick Saban is ready. He's going to cut the guys ready to play. The dogs are going to be hungry and they're going to be running faster out there, Avery, as you say. So I like Bama.
Why is Bama dogs then?
Yes.
They're the real dogs, the Georgia Bulldogs. But
why are they underdogs in this game? It makes no sense.
But that's why I get a little nervous. But again, I said that's like they beat them already. It's hard to beat a team twice in the same year. That's my take. I know that's obviously general consensus, but I like Bama at plus 125 money line. That's what I got it at. And as I said, I like the over. I lean over 52.5. I think that over could smack. To be honest,
I have no leans on the total. But I love Georgia. I fucking love Georgia. There's just not. Do it. You can't tell me why are they favored. Georgia played the worst game of their season against Bama last time. They know what went wrong. Kirby's gonna have something like. Obviously it's Nick Saban, but these teams know each other at this point. They cannot play this bad a second time. No way.
Yeah, look at me. Are the sports books going to make a mistake in favoring the Georgia Bulldogs on back-to-back games? Are they going to put this type of liability on themselves without knowing what the fuck is going to happen, without knowing what the result is? They know the game has already happened in Vegas. Georgia already won, probably by 10. I need that clipped because I'm telling you this. Look, don't do it. Don't bet Bama. You're a sucker. Sandy, you're a sucker.
No, fuck you, T-Mac. Clip this. I want this all in a little 30-second minute clip. Bama for all the money line. Fuck the points. You don't need them.
Dude,
Bama money line.
You're like, you probably bet Michigan, right? In the playoff.
Yes, I did.
Okay, perfect. We're in a great spot. It's the same thing, right? It's the exact same thing as betting Michigan.
Oh, I also had Bama in the playoffs though, so I went 1-1. But
no,
I'm riding my dogs. Hey, as I said, I like Bama. I like Nick Saban. Those are my guys. I'm riding with them. I don't have a huge play on it. Like I actually hammered Bama against Georgia last time they played. I had 4 units on it across. Like
we all love Bama.
Yeah, we all love it. Yeah, we all did. This one. I got 2 units on this one. So
this might be a 10-unit play for me. I like.
Oh my god! Please, boys.
Supermax. This feels like whale bomb.
Super max whale for me.
This feels like Utah, T-Mac. This feels like Utah.
I know. Feels like the over at the Rose Bowl.
Oh fuck!
Hitting it while being there at the game. My God, that was a great feeling. All right, that's it.
And I just want to hear dogs bark. The adults barking. I just found out that Georgia fans just like to bark at people, and it is the coolest thing I've ever heard. Like.
Yeah. It's the biggest alpha move that could possibly exist. I don't know.
What are you supposed to do when someone barks at you? Nothing. Like, what the fuck is your problem? No elephant noises are being made in that stadium. That's for sure.
Nobody turned like college football is what turns full-on grown-ass men into little boys, into children.
Yes.
The adults just don't behave properly when it comes to college football. Okay, we'll be back this week with some previews for the NFL playoffs. We'll be covering anything, like all 6 of these games, anything betting wise. We'll be covering it. We'll be talking about it. We'll have some more plays. Maybe there needs to be a little 3-way competition here if I were doing the playoffs. But tune in for those. Those will be coming this week. And if you tuned in long enough, you're a fantasy hockey guy. I'm talking to some of those guys in the Discord to watch all of our stuff. There'll be some hockey stuff this week from here too. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel. The 3 of us will be back in person again next week. I can't wait for that. But thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, comment down below, and we'll see you next time.